Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Urban Scope Podcast. Thanks for the support and continue to support, and I appreciate all the love that the page is getting. I want to discuss um, just a topic of another greatest topic again. So I was watching um, the Joe Budden podcast, the Patreon episode. Some Patroni for that's one of my favorite podcasts. But it was an episode entitled "Crippy Hippie," and one of the members on the show, Ice, posed a question for the group. He said, "Who is the best mixtape discography of all time, as far as rappers goes?" So I thought this was an interesting topic because they had their views of greatest mixtape artists of all time, and I had mine. Which it's only a couple of artists that I had with the greatest mixtape discography of all time. I agree with some of the ones they said, but some of them I didn't know. Like I said, it's a regional thing. They're in the New York, New Jersey area, so they hold other artists higher in regard than I do as far as mixtapes and albums goes. So I kind of compiled my own list and reasoning for my greatest mixtape discography. And Ice made some points. Well, he basically said that Fabulous, 50 Cent, and they said Joe Budden and Jadakiss were like their favorite of all time. And I agree with most people on that list. Like I said, I didn't really know 50 Cent for mixtapes. I known him for albums, which was the two albums that he first came out with. Get Rich or Die Trying and The Massacre, and the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack for the movie that he put out. And I know he had mixtapes before that, the mixtape that had How to Rob, and he had these other mixtapes. So he put out quite a few mixtapes, but that's not what I know him for, or that's not what when I listen to 50 Cent I go back to. So and Fabulous, like I said, I started to get a hold of his mixtapes later on when he started doing the Gangsta Grills with DJ Drama, and when he started doing later mixtapes, and he started getting different producers that didn't seem like strictly New York producers. Because, like I said, I think his career was kind of underrated because he had producers mostly from the East Coast, and he didn't kind of veer off to different production. But then, but that's just a little another side note. But Jadakiss too, I found that kind of interesting that they named Jadakiss. I know his son is on the show now, but I don't think they were just pandering to his son. But I think, like I said, it's a New York regional bias thing. I don't think they specifically have, like you grew up in the area, you listen to the music more, you're gonna be more in tune with it. I grew up in the South and in the Midwest now, so like I said, I have a bias a little bit for the South artists. So even though I listened to Nas and Jay-Z and Tupac and Biggie and Snoop Dogg and all these other artists, I was more diversified in my listening abilities. But Imani did come up. He did say that Lil Wayne had the best discography, and it's not even close for him. But I said he had too many misses as far as albums go. But I'm thinking to myself, do you really care about how many misses I had if I still score 50 points and we won the game? Because like I said, Lil Wayne had mixtapes going all the way back to before Carter One, which a lot of people didn't check for those albums because, like I said, he was part of a group and he wasn't the most popular person in the Cash Money. Everybody looked at Juvenile first, and you looked at BG and other members. He was seen as the little brother, but he became out to be the most successful one. But I'll tell you why, and my brother Dominic attest to this as well, why Lil Wayne is my favorite mixtape artist, because he was the first person I can think of that he had better mixtape songs than albums. If you go back to 2006 to 2010, he had a crazy run from the Gangsta Grills and the Dedication mixtape, the No Ceiling mixtapes. His mixtape were, I don't want to say better than his albums, but they were just as notable. When you come out, when you're able to put out that quantity with that quality, so not only can you have the Aldi type prices, not only can you have like the Target type prices, but you can get the Walmart quantity in it. So I'm able to put out good product and still get a lot out of it. And that's what he was able to do. When he came out with the Carter 3, I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to put out a good album. He didn't gave us 300 songs over the last years before he put out an album. and the album was just as good as anything he put out on a mixtape. But as far as mixtape goes, they was calling him Mixtape Wheezy for a reason. They didn't say that about 50 Cent or Fabulous or Joe Budden or any of those guys, because those guys were known mostly for albums. Lil Wayne was known for albums and mixtapes. When you put out so many gangster grills with DJ Drama, that shows your ability to be great. He didn't put out multiple, like I want to say it's like 5 or 6 mixtapes he put out with DJ Drama. Most people will be lucky to get 2, or lucky to get 1. Really, after Lil Wayne kind of got out the game, DJ Drama kind of stepped back a little bit after, the studio stuff when they tried to raid a studio and over some mixtapes or something like that. But Lil Wayne, like I said, I agree with Amani. It's not even close. And they kind of mentioned Wiz Khalifa, which Wiz Khalifa had a couple of them, but yeah, Lil Wayne, even if you want to just take 4 years of his life, I'll put his 4 years of mixtapes over anybody's whole career over mixtapes. People stopped doing mixtape after a while because the label, that was putting out free music and they didn't get paid for it. Lil Wayne was just feeding the streets and feeding the streets. And, some people were being ungrateful about his contributions to hip hop now. There was a period when nobody was even close um to Lil Wayne. You had people talking about Kanye and 50 Cent at one point, but they ventured off into other things. Lil Wayne was always been mostly music. I know he got into the skateboard and he had a own clothing line, but that's seemed like some stuff that his team wanted him to do. But he's always been about music. He said from Carter One, he is hip hop. He said from the Carter One, he's the best rapper alive and never looked down from that. And he kind of stepped back, and I think he just kind of lost love for the game. But people kind of forget what Lil Wayne meant to the game and how his mixtapes was a life changer. People would talk about his album. I remember people would talk about his mixtapes like an album came out, and they came out so frequently I couldn't even keep up. Friday, somebody will say, "Hey man, you heard that new Lil Wayne?" I said, "Yeah, I heard it last week." They said, "No, it just came out today." It'll be a whole new mixtape. And like I just said, his ability to put out the quantity and the quality at the same time, what he was able to do, it's unmatched. I don't care if he had 20 misses, but 7 or 8 of those mixtapes are flawless. There's no skips on them, rarely. And like I said, it's not even close. I think they're just mostly New York guys, so they don't know the impact of what Lil Wayne had on people in the South and other people in the regions. But like I said, Lil Wayne, it wasn't even close. And I thought about Future too. Future had, here's a stretch where he had the monster beast mode 56 nights. He just dropped the album called Mixtape Pluto, so he lets you know what he thinks about his ability to put out mixtapes. And also hit the Dirty Sprite 1, which Drake said he became a fan of Future after he heard the Dirty Sprite 1 mixtape. So, like I said, Future still puts out music at a high clip. He might disappear for a little while, but he'll put that music at a high clip. But the guys like 50 Cent, um, he's doing movies and TV now, and Joe Budden's doing a podcast and media thing now. Jada Kiss has kind of took a hiatus off for a little bit. Fabulous, he kind of disappeared for the last few years. So Lil Wayne is still active, even though he just got looked over for the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I still appreciate Lil Wayne for what he was able to do. And a lot of his songs, I can still remember where I was when I listened to these songs. Most of the time I was in college or high school, and I remember exactly where I was when I heard these songs. So some of Lil Wayne's favorite songs are on mixtapes for me, not albums. So, like I said, a lot of the albums he did for radio play, and he had to switch it up a little bit. But he gave us raw content when it came to mixtapes. And I don't even think it's even close. It's kind of disrespectful to Lil Wayne, I think, to even think somebody else came close to him uh, as far as mixtapes goes. And albums the same, he had classic albums too. So but I'm going on a tangent. Like I said, clearly Lil Wayne was the best mixtape of all mixtape has the best mixtape discography of all time. But tell me your thoughts about who you think had the best mixtapes when it comes to hip hop artists of all time. And thanks for your support.